Okay, we're here at the Talmudic village in northern Israel, and this is a village that we have the original stones of that day from up in the area of the Golan Heights. And this is a great place to see what it looked like back in the time of Jesus. You're looking, and they actually are in the process of repairing and remodeling some of these homes that are made of stone, and these shops that are made of stone. We have the synagogue over here on the left, but this is an actual village that did exist. It wasn't built just to show people what it was like. They have remodeled, they have rebuilt and restructured, and they're doing that now. But you're seeing here what a home would be like on the outside back in the time of the Lord. And one of the things that we have pointed out before is that these particular homes all had stone steps that went up to the top of a roof. Now let me explain to you about the roof. Most of the time we think of a roof of having a pitch, like we'll see a house, it has a pitch so that when it rains, the rain comes off into the gutters. Now the thing about some of the, especially in the ancient times, but also in Israel, is there are certain rain seasons, but there are areas where it doesn't get a lot of rain. Therefore, in some cultures, you will see, and we see this in the country of Jordan especially, we see these barrels on top of the roof, and they have a system set up where it catches the rainwater and stores it in those barrels because the water is very precious. However, in the time of Christ, the rooftops were flat. You didn't see, we had some buildings, there were different types of buildings, but in the homes, most of the roofs were flat, and a family could actually go and sit on top of the roof, or the children could play on top of the roof. And the way it was made, you had supporting beams in the middle, and a lot of the beams, of course, were, and I say supporting beams, they were rock walls that supported it. And then you would take these trees, and you would cut the trees down, and you would make a pole, a long pole. Sometimes they were that big around or that big around, and you sit them side by side, and then you would place mud with straw on that, and it would harden it, and that would become the roof. And eventually there would be grass that would grow on the roof, and sometimes you'd see little flowers growing, because in the old days when I could get to the top of these roofs, I could climb on top of that and show you actually what it looked like. But they're repairing so much now. In fact, let me get the cameraman over here. You can see this would have been a patio. We would call this today a patio, but you can see what it looks like right there. So this is what we're talking about, flat. Today we would use concrete, or we would use different types of material to make our patios, but this is how it existed in that day. Now, here's the story that I've got to tell you, and it goes back to the time of the destruction of the temple. Prior to the destruction of the temple, 36 to 38 years before, Christ makes this prophecy in Matthew 24, Mark 13, Luke chapter 17, also Luke 21. And he talks about that Jerusalem, Luke tells this, is going to be surrounded by armies. Now, we do know historically that the Roman 10th Legion, and there were other legions that participated in this, but the Roman 10th Legion was responsible for breaching the gates and walls of Jerusalem, coming onto the Temple Mount, and eventually the temple was destroyed, and of course the treasures were taken out to Rome. When this happened, we read in the scripture that Jesus gives a warning. When you see Jerusalem surrounded, get ready to flee to the mountains. So you've got to flee as you see the troops coming. You've got to get out. There's just a very small window. Historically, it tells you that there's a very small window between 66 to 69 AD, right in that time frame, where they could get out. Sometimes they did it through tunnels, sometimes they did it through little trickery or whatever, but when Vespasian was called in to be the emperor, there was a small gap of time, and that's when some of the Christians and others got out of the city. But he did say this: when you see it surrounded, you better try to get out, and he says, don't come off of the roof. Now, in that day, now when we build a house, we like a yard. We'll put 20 feet, 30 feet, 50 feet between each home because we want to have a yard to play in. Back in that day, the homes and the shops were constructed very, very close together. And what you had is you had what we would call narrow alleys. Now you could picture in that time horses trying to come through some of these alleys, a lot of people walking through here, but you can see that the space between, let's say, this roof here and that wall right there. Now I would never attempt to do this today, but there would have been a day it would not have been a problem for me to just take a few feet and jump from there to there. You say, Perry, you wouldn't do it. No, I wouldn't do it today. You couldn't pay me to do it today. But I used to do that back in the days when we were kids. So if you would have a roof that would be high, one that would be low, one that would be a little higher, but every home had the stone steps that went up to the roof. So when Jesus warned them to don't come off of the rooftop, did he mean to stay there? Did he mean to fight from there? No, what he was saying was, instead of coming down those steps and coming down in here where you could be captured, or where the battle might be taking place, or where there may be soldiers coming in an area, you would be able to literally go from one rooftop to the next rooftop, and you might be able to make your escape by literally going from rooftop to rooftop. And I know that sounds impossible, but I have seen models of these flat roofs where I looked at that and I said, look at there, there's not enough space between them to where you could literally go from roof to roof to roof, especially if you're a younger person, not an older person necessarily. And you would maybe be able to make your escape from that, eventually getting down a set of steps and going out, or remaining up there until possibly the soldiers passed, and then you would make your escape down the stone steps. So there could be two different opinions of what he actually meant by staying there. So what do I mean by you got to stay on the roof? You stay on the roof by meaning two things, and I try to make everything practical for you. Number one is to stay in the presence of the Lord. It's very important in the day and time in which we're living in that people develop a walk of prayer, a walk of faith, a walk of the Word, where they stay in the presence of God. Number two is to stay in the position of where God called you, or we say stay in the lane. See, for me to preach prophecy, I'm staying in my lane. I am not a pastor. They call me Pastor Stone sometimes out of respect, but I've never been a pastor, and I'm not a pastor. I'm a teacher and evangelist. So therefore, I stay in my lane. I don't take a church. I don't pastor a church, because that's not my lane. That's not my gifting, we would say. So you got to stay on the roof, or stay in the lane where you are called to and where you are assigned to. And these are just some little practical things that we can get from the story of staying on the roof. When that trouble comes, stay in your place, stay in your position. It's like the Lord said to Paul when he was in the boat. He said, if you try to get to shore, trouble's going to come. Stay in the boat, because there will not be a loss of any man's life if they remain in the ship. Now, the ship eventually came apart, but they came in on the broken pieces of the ship, and not one soul was lost there in the book of Acts 27 when the storm Euroclydon hit. And Paul's entire crew was spared because they stayed where they were supposed to in the time they were supposed to. And so there's a lot of lessons that we can get from the idea of staying in the roof in the time of trouble. Stay in your spot, having an all to stand therefore. Remain unmovable, remain where you're supposed to be when that trouble is coming. You don't want to be at the wrong place, you want to be at the right place. And so that's the lesson that I want to share with you today. Thank you for joining me on the Perry Stone YouTube channel. Thumbs ups are important. Subscribing and hitting that bell is also important. And don't forget, I always end it this way, a very special product is available for you. Don't forget, the Lord willing, we have special conferences coming up all year, an Israel tour coming up. We may start doing a couple tours a year, we don't know yet. But I want to tell you, perrystone.org is where you get the information. I've taught so much today, my mouth is dry, my tongue's tied up. So this will be my last teaching for today here in Northern Israel. Thank you for joining me. God bless you.
You, your family, and friends can now participate in America's very first Christian-based treasure hunt, with prizes awarded to the winner with an estimated value of $500,000. The Treasure Book is a fictional story of Perry Stone's daughter traveling the Appalachian mountain chain, using her father's clues to search for a hidden key that releases the door to her inheritance. In the book, a special key has been hidden that, when found, will award valuable gifts to the finder. Follow the rules, compile the correct clues to discover the hiding place, and then retrieve the key. Present the key to Perry Stone, revealing how you solved the mystery from the book's clues to be awarded fabulous gifts. The prize items were donated by businesses and individuals specifically for this search. The items include fabulous diamond, tanzanite, ruby, sapphire, and emerald rings, valuable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and gemstones, elaborate gifts from Israel, including trays of bronze coins, silver Roman emperor coins, ancient silver Greek coins, and valuable Jewish coins of antiquity. The prize also includes gold, silver, and platinum American coins with numerous Morgan silver dollars, along with 1-ounce silver bars and silver rounds. Included are American Eagle, graded and slabbed silver dollars, and signed sports and celebrity cards. There is a major stamp collection along with authentic ancient Holy Land relics. 2 of the highest valued prizes are a famous and rare 1,950-year-old temple shekel and a beautiful gold Roman emperor coin. Anyone of any age can participate. You will need the book, The Treasure, to solve the mystery of the hidden key. The search is designed for individuals, families, youth groups, and small groups. Work together to solve the puzzle. Many of the clues can be solved from your home or office. However, a trip must be taken to discover the final clues and the exact spot. No one who has in the past or present worked for Perry Stone or any of his ministries are allowed to participate. Eligible individuals can participate by purchasing the 152-page, full-color, 28-chapter book, The Treasure, to research clues to the key's hiding place. The book is $35, and there is a limit to 2 per family. It is only available through Voice of Evangelism and not in any bookstore. Income from the book goes toward the Voice of Evangelism's 7-point outreaches. Order this exciting and unique book by calling 188-21-BREAD or go to perrystone.org. You can also request the book by mailing in your donation of $35 or more to Perry Stone, P.O. Box 3595, Cleveland, Tennessee 37320, and request offer TR1. Order now and be one of the first to receive your copy and begin a fun journey with family and friends to research the clues and solve the mystery.
If you enjoyed this YouTube content, there's an important website you should know about: perrystone.org. Perrystone.org is an essential resource for the latest books, audiovisual presentations, and digital products from Perry Stone Ministries. Resources that cover the same kinds of topics discussed in the program you just watched. Stop in and see all that's available at perrystone.org.